Nasarawa Broadcasting Service. Every day we are there for your service, celebrating the beauty of the world at 25. Nasarawa Broadcasting Service. Every day we are there for your service, celebrating the beauty of the world at 25.
As Nasarawa State celebrates 26, and in Nasarawa Broadcasting Service we are celebrating voices of yesteryears. There's this saying that 20 children can't play together for 20 years. But today in MBS, we thank God, we are very, very happy because we have most of our founding fathers around with us. So we are here to hear from them, share from them, and tap from their experiences and also celebrate them. A lot of them today I've heard and are still holding national and state offices. Also politicians who have represented us very, very well, and they are still representing. In the studio today we have from my far right, he was a presenter, radio and television. He was the senior announcer, DCA, and of course he saw the cradle of Nasarawa Broadcasting Service. He's now a politician and a public commentator, Honorable Umaru Angibe. It's nice to have you with us, sir.
Thank you for the opening.
Yes, I'm very sure that a lot of people hearing that name, they will remember Smooth Operator, Smooth Operator.
Well, there's a story behind that.
You know?
Yes.
And also in the studio we have a very, very senior desk editor. And yes, he was part of the foundation of Nasarawa Broadcasting Service. Just like Alhaji Ganishawa told us sometimes back about how immediately at the pronouncement of Nasarawa State, they told them to start leaving office, prepare themselves, go back home and establish their own radio station. We were not there, we had the history, and when they came home, they started what we are celebrating today as 25 years. He is presently head of Public Relations National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Very seasoned and very, very vibrant and talented news editor. I remember during his time when he writes news, he doesn't joke. You better be there in time and read that story very, very well, clearly. Mohammed Ohitoto. We know him as Ohi.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome,
thanks
sir.
for inviting us to this program.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir. We appreciate.
Yes, let's start with you, sir. We are celebrating Nasarawa Broadcasting Service at 25.
Yeah.
I'm very sure that in hearing that 25 years, something will ring in your head, say, wow, 25, 26 years ago, when we were there, before we came back home, what happened when we started? How was it like? Immediately you had the pronouncement of Nasarawa State and you were told that you're going back home to start your own electronic media house. What came to your mind? What were you thinking?
Yeah, it was a mixed grill. It was a mixed grill. It was a mix of feelings. One, it was on one side a challenge. The second was that of great excitement. We're more than happy to return home, to start doing those things that we have been doing in Jos, and we saw it as a welcoming challenge. And like you know, we had a leader in Alhaji Gani Shafa, supported by the likes of late Azos and the rest. So we moved home. It was a fast one. We moved home and we immediately set up from the substation in Lafia to start transmitting programs from Jos. So we're transmitting PRTVC programs for a start, and we're reporting activities in Nasarawa State. Incidentally, right from Jos, I was appointed into Government House as correspondent. So I moved down here as the correspondent of Government House in Lafia. Yeah. And so it was like every story around we tried to gather together with all the other colleagues. Even Jos, you know, even before we left, there was some mark that was left in the activities and progress of reports from citizens of Nasarawa State. So we're not a pushover. So coming home was like, let's just come. We landed without wasting time and we just took off. And I remember when I was called by Akwe that MBS was already 25, I was shocked. I just immediately cast my mind back to the day we sat somewhere around this office of the SSG, around that yes. So we sat there, Alhaji Gani heading, and said, okay, let's come up with a name for our station. In that meeting, it was quite exciting. Everybody came up with his own. Some wanted Nasarawa radio and television. We said, no, we cannot do the same thing. Let's be creative. Let's be creative. And that was how suggestions were made, and we arrived at Nasarawa Broadcasting Service. Good. And then the registration processes started, and by the grace of God, we are where we are today. And we thank God indeed so much.
Thank God. Yes, smooth operator. You saw the cradle of the continuity. You were there with them. You worked with them, especially the likes of late Captain Shama and late Ephraim Audu, Nehemiah Manga and the rest. What was it like at that cradle with that small studio near the transmitters and the newsroom? Do we call it 2-bedroom or self-contained? How was it like there?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, let me congratulate the staff and management of NBS, Nasarawa Broadcasting Service, for attaining this feat. 25 years, wow, time does fly, you know. Unlike Ohitoto and like the names you mentioned of blessed memory, Captain Shama, Ephraim Audu, and some of them, I was on radio in the old Plateau Radio Television Corporation as a contract artist. I was going there to present musical programs and until the creation of the state. And incidentally, on the 30th of September 1996, I presented the last program on the radio there.
Wow.
So, and the next day, we were anticipating the creation of Nasarawa State. So I can remember vividly the things that I was saying on radio on a program called Nightingale then, which was 10:30 to midnight, so on September 30th. So coming back here, of course, the station needed to be established here first. And I didn't know what was happening then. And then suddenly, we had a transmission coming in from a 2 kilowatts transmitter around where the SSG's office is at present, opposite the Baptist Church, Shandam Road, Lafia. And we started hearing those old voices that were presenting programs with there, trying to organize something. And I felt, well, I have the experience. Why not come and help in bringing up this place? So that was how, I think around 97, I came in to join them. Still doing musical programs. We introduced some of the early programs there. Some said, why not do your soul serenade? Why don't you revive the soul serenade? Why don't you do this, do that? But shortly after, I had to go for my National Youth Service Corps program. So for a year, I was missing in action. And then when I came, even with the opportunities, because I read sciences, even outside the state, for me to go and teach, I said no, I wanted to be with the media, I wanted to work with the NBS. And so we gradually took in the duty continuity job, presenting news, reading news, presenting programs, and producing. So 25 years on, the story is interesting and it's a fulfillment.
Awesome. Yeah, now let me come back to you, Ogaohi.
Yeah.
Now, in the news now, when we started, and yes, from BH now to Tudunkawi that we are now. Then when you people were reporting as a senior reporter and desk editor, you prepare news, what was it like? What you were doing, and when you came back here, the people, the style of life, what was it like? The acceptance of what you people were doing, what was it like there?
Okay, so I think maybe I should lay emphasis on professional practice.
Yes, please do.
When we came back this way, we had become a full-fledged organization with an infrastructure such as where we are sitting. And then there was room for employment. And before we knew it, things started happening. In fact, including errors being made. I remember a particular incident. A young man was employed. He came, he was quite excited at the job. He looked so neat and nice looking. And incidentally, I worked with him on a particular day. He was supposed to be a Hausa caster, which means he was supposed to be translating the news. I was the editor of the day. And the guy went and read, did his interpretation all wrong. And I was all over my head, annoyed. I had to calm down because you wouldn't embarrass anyone. But I waited. Instead of going home, I stayed back and waited till he finished the broadcast. I invited him to a secret room and told him, young man, you know I don't know you. And I do not hate you. I've not met you, so we have never had a quarrel. But I'm advising you, please leave this job. Go and look for a job that befits you. He said he's surprised. Nobody ever told him this. And he's been working for about 2 weeks. I said, yes. Me, I will not hide it from you. The way you translated my story today, in fact, you have lost my story completely in the sea. And that means there is something that is missing. What people fail to understand is that journalism is not as pedestal as people assume. Journalism is core. It's about intellect. You need a high level of knowledge, intellect. You must be reasonably intelligent to be able to do that job. Forget about the fact that what we see around us today, people masquerading as journalists and begging for pennies and naira here and there, which is highly embarrassing, which is one of the reasons some of us had to leave the field. That's not what I'm even talking about. In this particular case, the young man didn't know English, yet he was supposed to translate
from English to Hausa.
my edited scripts into Hausa. And I understand a bit of Hausa myself. So I said, no. You were far. If they were just little mistakes, we'll put you down, begin to. So he said he appreciated what I said. He will look into it. I said, well, in any case, while you are looking into it, don't allow anybody to pair you with me. Because I didn't give you a job and I can't take it. I can only advise you. Don't allow anyone to pair you with me because I will not work with you. If that is one sad story, let me come to some other beautiful stories.
It's an experience.
You know Ibrahim Adara
Very well.
and this young man.
Yes.
They were both presenters virtually the same time. Anytime any one of them was ready, I don't want to talk about others.
They had the doses from you.
Of course, excitement will start catching you immediately you see them walking. I'll ask, are you on duty? You say, yes, sir. I say, thank you very much. You are welcome, eh? I know why. Because you are very sure what you have packaged will be fully delivered on the basis of quality and knowledge. If I have not called other people, it's not as if they were not good. Oh. Let me remember Rabbi Adra as well. My sister, what's her name? No, Syria. So my sister, this one, oh my God, Safia.
Okay.
Yeah, we had very frank talks with her.
Okay.
And I said, you know, you are a beautiful MC. She said, yes. Sorry. When you are reading my stories, don't rap. Don't be so sharp. Don't be so fast. When you are fast, people lose the story. There are points of emphasis, you know. So I think that is a very beautiful woman. Not in...
Yeah, understood.
Beautiful in sense. She picked it up. She said, Ohitoto, I want to tell you that nobody has ever drawn my attention to this speed that you are talking about. I said, but that is me. I have to talk to you. You are beautiful. You are doing a good job. But when you go very fast, it may be your nature. Slow it down so that you can read the report and then people will understand the story. But once you do it very fast, when you do those things for MC, it's so beautiful. I'll be there. I'm always clapping for you. But when it comes to the news, change your style. Slow it down so that people can get the message. And she loved it. Thank God she's still alive. So she can confirm that we had such a discussion. If her memory is green enough.
Okay, we'll come back, sir. Smooth operator. Some of us came in and met the remnant of the doses you received from people like Ogaohi, Captain, who will tell you straight, you are not good for it. Not unlike Ephraim Audu that will pamper you, my friend, do it like this, but these people will tell you straight, you can't do it. And if you can't, they will tell you what you need to do. From your experience, can we tap from your experience when you worked with them, the doses you received from them professionally, how it was like?
There are quite some experiences that one can draw from. Like back in Jos, where we were working together, even may his soul rest in peace, Captain Shama, on radio. We used to do our radio musical presentation while they do their continuity cast and read the news, present and anchor programs. But coming back to NBS, and when I took up the duty continuity job, I had to also understand certain rudiments of the profession. In terms of diction, in terms of how to, when you are reading the news, you need to take into account the audience that you are reading to. And even though we would say Nasarawa State and Plateau were the same, but having a news station, and you have attracted a far wider audiences than ordinarily used to be in the Plateau State, because people now begin to, from the communities here, begin to want to know what is happening about activities of government and around them. And it is the radio, it is the media house that is supposed to bridge the gap. So I had to go into some training too. We would have arguments how it should be. No, you are pronouncing the word like this, it should be like this. No, you didn't do that. All this we went through, irrespective of the years that one had put in. But it was a totally different ball game altogether starting. So, and you would take it respectfully, because it was something that they were in the field longer than you were. So that was how it was. But it was cordial, really, because I also know from the background you are coming in, and they respected your views too. So, and being a duty continuity announcer, you have to be versatile. you incorporated the aspect of news. You know how you, forgive me to use the word, piece and a news editor or even reporters, after struggling to go and get the news, and you don't deliver the news well, you can ruin somebody's day altogether. And that is from the relationship with the newsroom now, because DCAs, as we call them, come from the programs department. But those who make the news too are also following you, and they can react to. I have one experience, and incidentally with Ohitoto. Back there in the old station before the movement to Tudunkauri, it was one weekend like this. I think it was on a Saturday. I was inside. You know, if you know the structure of the place, when you come, you have to pass this row of offices where the news department was, before you go to where the broadcast point was. So I was inside there. I didn't know what was happening. It was during Bala Manday's time, Colonel Bala Manday's time. I just read the news, and shortly after, Ohitoto, who was the desk editor then, came to me and was telling, did I know what happened just now? Because I came out, I saw a vehicle leaving the premises. I said no. He said it was the governor that came in himself, the Balamandi. I believe you remember. He came in himself with his orderly and sent his orderly to go and call the person that read the news that he wanted to see him.
They said you didn't put his rank also.
So I said, what was the matter? He said, well, luckily enough, he met me, the one who wrote the news, and we resolved the matter, but he was complaining, why would the station take out his own title, that he's still a military officer? Why would you just drop the title and just mention his name? So Ohitoto was trying to explain to him that it's a house style, that for news in brief, normally you don't put it until the main bulletin that you put those things there. And he, with a grudge, actually he left, but he was insisting that whether it was a brief, news in brief or whatever, he needed his title there. So that was one incident. Another incident was, that is from within the continuity job now. I wouldn't want to mention him now, but one of the freshers too that came to be the studio managers. You know, normally you, the presenter, you will be just by the microphone, and somebody will be putting all the music and all that. So one of this particular new person that was placed on as a studio manager put on his headpiece. He was running a tape.
Yes.
And the tape was running. Of course, there's a way that you'll be in the studio and you wouldn't know what was going on unless you are monitoring. He was playing an advert. And then it was when Abdullah Adamu became governor, shortly after. So the tape overran, he didn't know. And what was contained on the tape was the activities of the previous military governor.
Oh my God.
And by some trick of fate, the announcement was inviting people for an event and calling that the military administrator was going to be there. And the incident almost seemed as if it was going to happen within the period. So I was seated in the studio, and again, you know, then the governor's office was within the premises.
Yes, yes.
So someone walked in from the governor's office and said they wanted to see me. I said, again?
The same guy.
So when I went in, it was Mary Mwogulu then. He was the personal secretary, secretary to the governor then. That she was the one that explained things to me. That what was happening with the station, that we are broadcasting an event of the past administration. I said, well, you are just bringing it to my notice. I'm not aware, but I'll go and see the studio manager. So that was how those things.
Right, summarily, just in 1 minute, your message to the management staff of Nasarawa Broadcasting Service as we celebrate 25 Silver Jubilee.
Well, the message is that even though the the broadcast, the communication industry is flooded with all kinds of entrants, and even the social media is not helping issues. And the station, of course, need to go with time, move on with time. They are doing very well, but being a state station, the competition will always be there, and the need to always train and then also complement it with tools of operation, is because no matter how excellent or how brilliant you are, if you don't have the tools to work with, there's nothing that you can give. And then if you have the tools and you don't have the proper manpower development, it will still be a problem.
Okay.
And so that is what I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Wise word. They say the words of our elders are words of wisdom. In 1 minute, sir.
Thank you very much. So firstly, I will say congratulations to MBS management and staff for this initiative and for the work they've been doing so far. It's a great amount of work. I also want to remind that a state radio and television station is supposed to be its public relations anywhere, anytime. Anybody passing through Nasarawa State gets to know the quality of people in Nasarawa State. So what you say on radio, what you say on TV is very, very important. And there must be a need for serious training and retraining, just like Agibi said. And because particularly in MBS, I have passed by here and listened to statements like infrastructures, furnitures. There's nothing like that. So there is need for training so that young people will get to know exactly what it is they need to say on air. And then, of course, like I said, if we remember that we are public relations, it means we are projecting what the people of Nasarawa State are. So please project us well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, smooth operator, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so
It's
much.
nice to have you, sir.
Thank you so much,
Yes, sir.
Baba. Thank you.
You've been listening to NBS Voices of Yesteryears, and we've been discussing with a very senior editor, a seasoned journalist, and of course, desk editor Mohammed Ohitoto, presently head of public relations, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. And yes, my senior in the continuity, Honorable Umaru Angibe, now politician, public commentator, and also a teacher. It's nice to have you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that's the size, we say, happy celebration, Nasarawa Broadcasting Service. Yeah, here at NBS, 25 years of successful broadcasting was because of your support and patronage. Thank you very much. God bless Nigeria. God bless Nasarawa State.
Thank you.
Former managers, we don't lead us before now. Gani Shafa, Dalhatu Bawa, may his soul rest in peace. Suleiman Adira, may his soul rest in peace. Musa Abdullah, Yusuf Musa, Zenamen Wesabi, a local flashman, you still the flash, you the ginger. Executive Vice Chairman, Awolu Salihu, Aida Gamawa.